I remember when we first started, every single example project we used was either Barcelona, Copenhagen, Oslo, Paris, Hamburg, New York. Now, we use elements of the city, both our work and the work of others, to say, this is what great looks like. And being able to do that here, that's phenomenal.
You can't have this conversation without mentioning culture. I think we are a city of culture. We have been for as long as anybody can remember, and we will be into the future. The culture feeds into how people feel about the city. We have conversations with big companies, big organisations that have offices across the UK, and increasingly, this is a stat that I love to say, they are finding it hard to get graduates and people to move to places that aren't Manchester, because that is where everybody wants to go. It's the location that people know something's happening. I don't want to use the word buzz because the whole B thing has been used excessively, but there is a real buzz around Manchester. When I speak to people, friends from across the country and internationally, they know, they hear, they see things happening here. There's a feeling, there has been for as long as I can remember, and there's no sign of it going away.
What's lovely about Manchester is that it's a 30-minute city, I suppose. Anywhere that you consider to be Manchester, you could walk to in about half an hour. We feel like we know everybody in Manchester. Of course we don't, but we've got enough footholds in different parts of the sort of cultural landscape that it feels like a village. It's something that's really hard to achieve in London, New York. This feeling of a city as a whole having a cultural identity that is singular and its own.
I think the people make a successful city. I think, that's first and foremost, but then you've got to look at, well, what attracts the people? And then I think you really start getting under the skin of it, and that is the amenities, it's the culture, it's the opportunity to kind of live and work within a commutable distance. It's the way that they feel kind of included within what's going on in the city. So I think when you couple all that together, you start to create somewhere that, anybody can come and visit, live, work, and they feel welcome and included.
Manchester Light, it has an artistic, it has a musical, it has a on-screen, it has an arts legacy, and that's irreplaceable. Do you know what I mean? A city either has that legacy or it doesn't. Every city will have something to say for itself in terms of arts and culture. It'll have that past, but Manchester's is really quite unique. It's the creativity you can see just walking down the road. Do you know what I mean? Just walking through the Northern Quarter. It's reflected in the businesses. It's reflected in the street art. It's reflected in the way people dress, and they feel free to express themselves. Wear things that they wouldn't normally wear, maybe on the high street in like Earlham, where I'm from, right on the outskirts in Salford. I get stared at a lot. There's nobody around there who has as many tattoos and piercings as me. And yet when you're in Northern Quarter, you blend in because everybody looks like me.
If you're under the age of 30 or 40, why would you live anywhere else in the UK or the world? It is the most exciting city in terms of its development, in terms of its cultural offer, in terms of the energy. You can come to Manchester and you can make things happen. You can literally transform the city by your endeavour, your creativity and your effort. And that's something that you can't really do in a city like London. It feels almost overwhelming, even for the biggest thinkers, to be able to enact kind of seismic change. So I think that Manchester's more rebellious. It's got a spirit of endeavour that really comes from that kind of gritty northerner. People want to get things done here. And in that sense, it's a remarkable place to build your career.
I think if you look at what the city looked like 20 years ago when I first started out in the industry, I know it's not all about tall buildings, but there was one that was under construction and that sat on its own for quite a long time. But God, look at the skyline now in terms of tall buildings and what that represents. Or look at whole new neighbourhoods that didn't exist 20 years ago, like First Street, NOMA, where we are, like here, the collection of buildings was here, but in terms of what it is as a sort of a community, that didn't exist. Look at the Etihad, like where Man City had just moved in, but now it's like a global collection of sporting excellence and incredible community facilities, and it's going to pivot to become an entertainment district. So I don't know where it'll be in 10 years' time, but it'll be something incredible.